I was just looking at everything we pulled together for today, and a thought just hit me.
Oh, yeah.
We are absolutely obsessed with scripts.
Strips.
Yeah. I mean, just think about it. The last time you knew a difficult conversation was coming up, maybe with your mom or that boss who just loves sending emails at midnight.
Right.
What's the very first thing you do? You start rehearsing, you're in the car, you're in the shower, and you're literally muttering to yourself, okay, if they say this, then I'm going to say that.
Oh, 100%. We treat human connection like it's a game of chess.
A game of chess. That's it exactly.
Yeah, if I just, move my knight to this square, then checkmate. I win the argument.
You win. But the material we're looking at today, it feels like it's saying we're doing it all backwards. We're trying to build this beautiful penthouse, but we're building it on a swamp.
That's a perfect metaphor. We're obsessing over what we call the we job, the conversation, the interaction, the words.
The script.
The script. But we've completely skipped the most critical part, which is the I job.
The I job.
Okay, it's the foundation. It's the solid ground you have to be standing on your side of the river, before you even think about building a bridge to the other person.
And if you don't have it, if that foundation is, I don't know, cracked.
Or it's made of quicksand, then it doesn't matter how brilliant your words are. It doesn't matter how perfect your script is. You are going to crumble.
And people are crumbling.
Well, they are. And they're wondering why. Why am I so exhausted by the people I love? Why does setting a simple boundary feel like I'm declaring war?
That's the part that really got me. The exhaustion. Because we always blame them, right? My partner is draining. My job is exhausting.
Of course. It's always external.
But this suggests the leak isn't coming from them. It's coming from a structural failure inside of us.
It's coming from a fundamental lack of self-respect.
Okay, but that is such a loaded term, self-respect.
It is. It's a bumper sticker.
It's something you see on a motivational poster at the dentist's office with a picture of an eagle.
Right. Believe in yourself.
Right.
But from a psychological, even a neurobiological perspective, it is a very specific, very mechanical state of being. And most people don't actually have it.
So what do they have instead?
They usually have one of two extremes.
Yeah.
On one end, you have grandiosity. That's, narcissism, the I am better than you stance.
Right. I'm the main character.
Exactly. But on the other end, and this is so much more common, you have self-betrayal, the I am less important than you stance, the doormat.
So true self-respect is somewhere in the middle.
It's the dead center. It's the simple, radical belief in equal dignity. I am not above you, and I am not below you. We are on the exact same level.
I want to push on that, though, because equal dignity sounds great in theory. It sounds nice and clean. But when you're in the trenches with a really difficult person, it feels almost impossible to hold on to. Let's talk about that fridge magnet story. It's kind of infamous at this point. You know the one I'm talking about.
Oh, yes, the priorities list.
Right. So I saw this go viral years ago, and the comment section was an absolute war zone. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, a woman puts a magnet on her fridge, and it lists her priorities in life.
In order.
In order. And it goes, number 1, EE. Number 2, kids. Number 3, husband.
And the internet collectively lost its mind.
People went ballistic. They were calling her a narcissist, a terrible mother, selfish beyond belief. And I have to admit, my first knee-jerk reaction was, whoa.
Right.
You put yourself before your toddlers. It just feels wrong.
It feels wrong because our culture, our programming equates self-sacrifice with love. Especially for parents, and let's be honest, especially for women.
So it's seen as the highest virtue, to put yourself last.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But let's just look at the mechanics of that list. Let's get really practical. Why is me number 1? Is it because she thinks she's the most important person in the universe?
That's what people assume.
But no, it's an operational statement. It's a safety protocol.
It's the oxygen mask on the plane.
Precisely. But let's go even deeper than that metaphor. Let's talk about the nervous system. If me is not regulated, if I'm burnt out, if I'm resentful, if I am flooded with cortisol because I'm running on 4 hours of sleep and caffeine, what version of mother are those kids getting from me?
You're getting the monster mom. You're getting the mom who snaps because somebody spilled a glass of milk.
Right. They're getting a caregiver who might be physically in the room, but is emotionally checked out.
Right.
Or worse, emotionally dangerous. So by putting me first, she's not saying I love myself more than I love you. She's saying, I have to perform regular maintenance on the vehicle, which is me, so that I can safely carry the passengers who are my kids.
Because if the vehicle breaks down on the highway?
Everyone is stranded. So self-respect in this context isn't about vanity. It's not about being a diva.
It's about function. It's basic maintenance.
It's about functional integrity, and this is the paradox that trips people up. They think having no self-respect just hurts them. But actually, a lack of self-respect is what makes you so difficult to be around.
How so?
Think about the classic people pleaser. The yes man at work or the martyr mom at home. Are they actually pleasant to be with?
Not really. They're kind of heavy.
They're heavy, they sigh a lot, they're passive-aggressive, they keep a running tally in their head of everything they've ever done for you.
Oh, the covert contract?
The covert contract. I did all this for you and you didn't even notice or say thank you. That is toxic.
That's the nice guy syndrome, too. I'll be a total doormat for you, but then I'm going to resent you for stepping on me?
Precisely. That is submission. You are choosing to prioritize the relationship over the self. But here's the kicker. When you kill the self to save the relationship
dies anyway.
It dies anyway. Because there's no you left for the other person to be in a relationship with. You just become a ghost in your own life.
Okay, so if we can agree that self-respect is this critical foundation, why is it so damn hard to build? Why do we default to submission or, aggression? The research points to something called external dependency. Is that just a fancy way of saying codependency? Or is there a difference?
There's a lot of overlap,
yeah.
But I find external dependency to be a more useful term because it describes the actual mechanism.
Okay.
It all comes down to regulation. As human beings, we're social animals. When we're infants, we are 100% externally regulated. We can't soothe ourselves. If we're scared or hungry, we cry, and we need a parent to come and make us feel safe.
That's our only survival strategy.
It's the only one we have. The entire process of growing up, of maturing into an adult, is meant to be the journey from that external regulation to internal regulation.
But a lot of us get stuck somewhere along the way.
I'd say most of us get stuck. We continue to outsource our internal stability. We hand the keys to our emotional control panel over to everyone else.
So if my boss thinks I'm smart, then I'm allowed to feel confident.
Yes. If my partner's in a good mood, then I can relax. If my mother isn't disappointed in me, then I can feel safe.
It's like your emotional state is on Wi-Fi. And if you can't connect to their approval, you have no signal. You just get the little spinning wheel of death in your brain.
And when you have no signal, what do? You panic. Yeah. This is the core failure of the I joke. When you are externally dependent, you are incredibly easy to manipulate. Mm-hmm. And not because the other person is some evil genius, necessarily. It's because you've made yourself a puppet. You've handed them the strings and you're begging them, please, just pull the right one so I can feel okay for a minute.
Okay, let's make this really concrete. Let's ground it in a scenario because I think everyone listening has that person in their life. The one they just feel like they can't say no to.
We all have one.
Let's use the classic daily call example from the research, but I want to make it even harder. Let's say you're 35, you got a stressful job, maybe you have a partner, kids, life is full. And your mother, who maybe lives alone, she's a widow, she says to you, I wish you'd call me every day. Your cousin Susan's son calls her twice a day.
Oof. The comparison trap. That is a precision-guided missile.
It hits you right in the gut. The guilt is instantaneous. So you do it. You start calling her every single day at 6 p.m. But, and here's the reality for most people, you hate it.
You're dreading it all day.
You're dreading it. And when you're on the phone, you're trying to cook dinner, the kids are screaming, and you're just going, yep, oh, wow, while you're rolling your eyes and scrolling through your email.
You are physically present on the call, but you are spiritually in another galaxy.
Exactly. So in that scenario, I'm technically being a good son, right? I'm performing the duty, but I feel completely miserable and resentful. Is that a lack of self-respect? It feels more like I'm just being, selfless.
No, I argue you're being dishonest.
Ouch.
And you are being submissive. This is a classic textbook example of prioritizing a false sense of peace over truth. You're avoiding the short-term discomfort of saying no, so instead you're choosing the slow, long-term poison of resentment.
And what does that do to the relationship?
Look at the dynamic you're creating. You are training your mother to be satisfied with a husk of you. You're giving her a cardboard cutout of a son. That's not love. That's appeasement.
Appeasement. That sounds like you're paying a ransom.
You are. You're paying a daily ransom of 15 minutes of your miserable time to keep the feeling of guilt away.
Here you go. Take my miserable time. Just please don't make me feel like a bad person.
That is the voice of external dependency.
Yeah.
You need her to validate your identity as a good son So you perform the ritual, even though it's empty.
But the alternative feels so terrifying. If I don't call, I know what happens. She gets cold, she gets passive-aggressive on text. She'll say something like, oh, I guess you're just too busy for your poor old mother. And that creates a physical reaction in my body. My chest tightens up. I feel unsafe.
That physical reaction you're describing, that's your amygdala, your brain's threat detection system going into overdrive.
It feels like a real threat.
Because it is. Your nervous system is perceiving the withdrawal of her approval as a primal threat to your survival. Back in the tribe, if the matriarch rejected you, you might be cast out. You might die. Your body is still reacting to that ancient prehistoric threat.
Wow.
And the entire I Job is about calmly teaching your body, your nervous system, hey, I am a grown adult. I buy my own groceries. I pay my own rent. I will not physically die if mom is disappointed in me for a day.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. We are externally dependent. We're soothing our own anxiety by pleasing other people. And as a result, we're becoming resentful and miserable.
Pretty good summary.
So how do we start to fix it? The research we looked at outlines 3 really specific practices. And the first one is called the chain. It goes values, then goals, then actions. And I'll be honest, the first time I read that, it sounded a little corporate.
Yeah.
You know, let's align our strategic KPIs, blah, blah, blah.
It does sound a bit like business jargon, but it's actually a radical re-engineering of how we operate. Because most of us live our lives in reverse.
What do you mean?
We obsess over the actions. Should I call my mom? Should I not call? What words should I use when I talk to my boss? Should I answer this email? We are, to use the phrase from the research, shooting at the moon.
Just firing blindly into the dark.
Totally blindly. The chain forces you to stop, put the gun down, and ask 2 fundamental questions first. Who am I? And what am I actually trying to build in this situation?
Let's apply this to a work scenario because I think this is just as common in the office as it is with family. Let's say I have a boss. We'll call him Gary. And Gary is what you'd call an energy vampire.
Okay, Gary the vampire.
He sends those emails at 11 o'clock at night, always marked urgent. And he has this little trick he uses. He'll say, hey, you're the only one I can trust with this. The other guys on the team, they just don't get the big picture like you do.
Ah, the classic flattery trap.
Yeah.
He's leveraging your ego to bypass your boundaries.
And it works every single time. I feel special. I feel important. So I stay up. I answer the email at 11:15 p.m. And then the next day, I'm exhausted and I'm quietly angry at Gary. So if I want to use the chain to break this cycle, where do I even begin?
You begin at the beginning with values. But you have to be brutally honest with yourself here. If I ask you, what's your value in this situation? You might give me the politically correct answer. You might say, well, I value excellence and hard work.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'd say. I want to be great at my job.
But do you?
Mm-hmm.
Or, if you dig deeper, do you actually value being seen as the hero? Or do you value avoiding conflict at all costs? Because if you truly valued excellence, you'd know that working on a half-asleep brain at 11 p.m. makes you less excellent the next day. Answering that email actively hurts your value of excellence.
Ouch. Okay, that stings a little.
It's supposed to.
So a more honest value would be something like, I want to be a high performer who is also sustainable.
Beautiful. Sustainable high performance. That's a powerful value. Now, step 2 of the chain, goal. Based on that value, what is your specific goal with Gary in this specific moment when that email lands?
Well, my usual goal is just make the anxiety of his request go away as fast as possible.
And that's an honest, in-the-moment goal. But is it aligned with your value?
No. If I'm doing the I Job, the bigger goal has to be something like, I want to train Gary to respect my working hours so I don't burn out and quit in 6 months.
Exactly. You're shifting from a short-term goal of anxiety relief to a long-term goal of professional sustainability.
Okay. So value is sustainability. Goal is training Gary. Now what?
Now, and only now, do you look at step 3, action. Given your value and your goal, does answering Gary's email at 11:15 p.m. align with them?
No, it's in direct opposition. It teaches him that my personal time is his work time. It reinforces the exact behavior I want to change.
Correct. So the only logical action becomes...
do nothing. Go to bed and answer it at 9 a.m. the next morning like a normal person.
See how clear the action becomes once the value is defined? It's not even a difficult choice anymore. If your value was people-pleasing, then answering at 11 p.m. would be the right action. You just have to decide who you're working for, your long-term self or Gary's short-term whim.
This maps directly back to the mom call scenario, too.
If my real, honest value is authentic connection, not just checking a box, but real connection, then making that daily resentful phone call is actually a violation of my own value.
Yes. You are betraying your stated value every single time you pick up that phone with a heavy sigh. You're actively building a fake, inauthentic relationship.
So the whole chain just flips.
It flips completely. The I-Job shift looks like this.
Okay.
Value, authenticity, goal. To have a relationship with my mother where I am present, engaged, and genuinely happy to be talking to her. Action. I will call her twice a week, on Sunday afternoon and Tuesday evening, when I actually have the time and emotional energy to listen and connect.
You're cutting the quantity to save the quality.
You have to. You can't have both in that situation.
But here is the massive, massive problem. This is where it all falls apart for me.
Let's hear it.
When I actually take that new action, when I don't answer Gary's email, or when I tell my mom, hey, I'm only calling on Tuesdays and Sundays now, they're going to freak out.
Yes, they are. Gary's going to give me that disappointed look. He'll think I'm slacking. My mom is going to get her feelings hurt. She might even cry. And that's where I cave. How do we hold the line when the pushback comes?
That is the million-dollar question. And it leads us directly to the second practice, the second tool in the I-Job toolkit. It's called the boundary X-ray.
I like the name.
I do too.
Oh.
Because boundaries is another one of those words that's become a pop psychology buzzword that we totally misuse.
Right. We say, I'm setting a boundary, and it sounds so aggressive.
It sounds like you're building a wall or slamming a door in someone's face.
Yeah.
We think of a boundary as a weapon.
Yeah.
But the research breaks them down into two very different types. The first type, the one most people use, is a protective boundary.
Okay.
These are born from fear. They are purely defensive. Think about the language. Stop guilt-tripping me. Don't you dare speak to me like that. You need to stop emailing me so well.
You're reacting to them.
You're trying to control the other person's behavior to protect your own fragile feelings. You're basically standing guard at the gate of your own wound. You're saying, stop poking my bruise.
Stop making me feel bad.
Yes, and these boundaries are utterly exhausting to maintain because you have to be on high alert all the time. You become the border patrol for your own emotions, and it's a huge unwalled border.
So what's the alternative?
The alternative, type 2, a directive boundary. These are completely different. They're not born from fear. They're born from your values. They aren't about the other person at all. They're simply a statement about you and your reality.
Give me an example.
A protective boundary is, stop emailing me at night. A directive boundary is, I check and respond to emails between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Oh, I see the difference.
A protective boundary is, stop asking me to call you every day. A directive boundary is, I love talking to you, and I set aside time for family calls on Sundays.
One is a demand you're making of them. The other is just a statement of fact about you.
One is a wall that you have to hold up with your own two hands, and it's exhausting. The other is just the landscape. It's a mountain.
Yeah.
This is a mountain. You can't walk through it. You have to walk around it. It's just what is.
So the X-ray is the tool we use to build those directive boundaries.
It's the tool you use to diagnose why your boundaries feel so shaky and transform them from protective to directive.
Okay, how does it work?
So let's say you're about to tell Gary, I can't take on this new project, but your heart is pounding and you feel terrified. You take a moment and you run the X-ray. It's 3 questions.
Correct.
Question 1, what asset am I trying to protect with this boundary? The answer might be your time, your sanity, your energy for your family.
Right, the thing you value.
Question 2, what loss am I afraid of? Why does this feel so scary? And you have to be honest. I'm afraid of losing his approval. I'm afraid he'll see me as lazy or not a team player.
Mm-hmm.
And then the most important question, question 3, what is the underlying dependency here?
What do you mean?
What external thing do you need to feel okay? And the answer is usually something like, I am dependent on Gary seeing me as the hero or the reliable one in order for me to feel secure in my job and my identity.
Wow. And once you see that dependency written out,
You can see how absurd it is. You can dismantle it. You can say to yourself, okay, my core problem here isn't Gary's request. It's my addiction to being seen as the hero. And I have to be willing to let go of that addiction if I ever want to have a life outside this office. The X-ray reveals that the weakness isn't in the boundary. It's in your need for external validation.
there's a really crucial tactical piece of advice here in the research about using these directive boundaries that I found fascinating and honestly a little terrifying.
Let me guess. Do not explain.
Yes, do not explain, especially with people who are prone to manipulation. This goes against every social instinct I have. If I'm saying no to Gary, my impulse is to write him a 5-paragraph essay explaining why. Well, you see, Gary, my plate is just so full right now, and I have these 3 other big accounts, and my dog has been sick, and honestly, I'm just feeling a little bit on the verge of burnout.
And what does Gary, the master manipulator, do when you hand him that beautiful, detailed list of reasons?
He sees them as obstacles to be overcome. He goes into problem-solving mode.
He dismantles them one by one. Oh, don't worry about those other accounts. I'll get an intern to help with those. And I'm so sorry about your dog. Take all the time you need for vet appointments so you're good to go on this project, right? Great.
You've just invited him to negotiate your reality.
You've handed him a user's manual for how to defeat your boundary. When you explain, you are communicating insecurity. A manipulator smells that like a shark smells blood in the water.
So what do you do instead?
You become a broken record. You become boring. The directive boundary has no because attached to it.
So I can't take this on right now.
And he says, why not?
And I say,
It doesn't work for me at this time. Or, my capacity is full.
And he says, but you're the best one for the job.
I appreciate the confidence, but the answer is no. You just repeat the boundary calmly, without apology. You have to be less interesting. Manipulators get bored with people they can't control.
Being boring is a superpower. I love that. But it's so hard when the other person is really skilled at this game. I had a business partner once, let's call him Mike. And Mike was a master of the but we're a team guilt trip.
Oh, a classic.
Anytime I tried to set a boundary around, say, finances or workload, he'd get this wounded look and say, man, I just thought we were in this together. I thought we shared the same vision.
He's not attacking your boundary. He's attacking your identity.
And it worked. I would just crumble. Because the last thing I wanted was to be seen as the guy who didn't share the vision.
And this is exactly why the I job has to come first. If your identity is solid before you walk into that room, if you've already told yourself, I'm a committed partner who also believes in fair compensation and healthy work hours, then his comment just bounces off you.
It has no power.
But if your identity is shaky, if you're walking in there thinking, gosh, I hope Mike thinks I'm a good partner, please validate me, Mike, then his comment is a nuclear weapon. It will destroy you.
Yeah.
You have to validate yourself before you enter the conversation.
So this is making so much sense. So we've got the chain, which is about leading with your values instead of your impulses.
Yeah.
We've got the boundary X-ray, which is about making your boundaries directive, not protective.
Right.
Now we have to talk about the one resource that all of this is really about, the thing we're all fighting for, time. But the research makes a really interesting distinction here. It's not just about minutes and hours on a clock. It's about something deeper. It's about agency. And I have to say, this part of the reading kind of freaked me out.
Why is that?
Because it talks about how we let people colonize our minds even when they're not physically there.
Yes, the concept of fragmented attention. Let's go right back to that daily call with your mom. On the surface, it's a 10-minute phone call. And the voice in your head says, come on, it's just 10 minutes, just suck it up and do it.
That's the voice of submission.
It is. But the deeper truth is, it's not just 10 minutes. It's the 2 hours of dread you feel leading up to the call. It's the checking your phone tick you develop every day around 5:30. It's the angry, imaginary argument you have with her in your head while you're supposed to be focusing on a work report.
She is occupying real estate in my brain all day long.
She is taking up gigabytes of your mental RAM. That is fragmented attention, and it's a profound loss of agency. You have lost sovereign control over your own mind. The I job is about reclaiming that territory, evicting the squatters.
That is terrifying. I do that all the time. I have shower arguments with people who live in a different state. I'm winning these epic debates that are never actually going to happen.
We all do it.
Yeah.
And this brings us to a really interesting and I think controversial idea in the research, this whole debate between work-life balance versus work-life integration.
Right. Balance is the old model. Work is the bad place. Home is the good place. And you just have to build a big wall between them.
Keep them separate at all costs. But integration is a newer and I think more self-respecting model. It means you stop trying to be two different people. It means you bring your whole authentic, boundary-respecting self to both domains.
So I don't have to be a doormat at the office from 9 to 5 and then suddenly try to become a confident king in my own home at 5:01.
Exactly. And tactically, it means you start reclaiming small pockets of agency within the chaos of your day.
But what if you don't have that freedom? What if you work on an assembly line or you have a boss who literally watches your every move? You can't just decide to take a 15-minute meditation break.
That's a crucial point. This isn't about privilege. It's about mindset. Maybe you can't control your workflow, but you can control your 30-minute lunch break.
Okay.
Do you spend that 30 minutes sitting with your coworkers, venting and complaining about how much you all hate the boss?
That feels really good in the moment. It feels like solidarity, a release valve.
It feels like a release, but it's actually reinforcing the prison. You are spending your one tiny slice of freedom talking about him.
Yeah.
He still owns your attention even on your break. He's living in your head rent-free.
So agency would be?
Agency is taking those 30 minutes and deciding, this time is mine. You put in headphones and listen to music. You read a chapter of a book. You sit in your car in silence. You plan your weekend. You do anything that disconnects your brain from him and reconnects it to you.
That requires so much more discipline. It's way easier to just complain with everyone else. Complaining is passive. Taking agency is active work.
Self-respect is active work. It's a verb. It is something you do moment by moment, not a feeling that just magically arrives one day.
Which I think brings us to what feels like the final boss of this whole deep dive, the one challenge that combines all three of these practices.
Ah, yes.
The do not disturb challenge. Can you walk us through this? Because just reading the description of it made my palms start to sweat.
Okay. This is it. This is where all the theory gets tested in the real world.
The rubber meets the road.
The rubber's met the road. So, you've done the work, you've used the chain, you've set your new directive boundary. I call mom on Tuesdays and Sundays. Okay.
Got it.
Today is Wednesday. It's 6 p.m. Your phone buzzes on the counter. You look down. The screen says, Mom. What is the immediate visceral reaction in your body?
Oh, man. It's a stomach drop, a spike in heart rate, and an instant flood of thoughts. Is something wrong? Is she hurt? Is she mad at me? I'm a bad son. What if it's an emergency?
That's it. That is the moment of truth. Your old programming, your external dependency reflex, is screaming at you. Answer the phone, soothe the anxiety, make the bad feeling go away right now.
And the iJob.
The iJob says, do not answer.
Let it ring. Just let it go to voicemail.
Let it ring. I want you to literally stand there, look at the phone, and feel the burn. Your nervous system is going to go into a full-blown panic. Danger. Danger. Pick up the phone. You're being rejected by the matriarch. You have to just stand there, take a deep breath, and let that tsunami of guilt and anxiety wash over you without letting it drown you.
And what's the point of that? It's just to torture myself.
It's to teach your nervous system a new lesson. You are showing it through direct experience. I am not answering the phone, and the world is not ending. I am not dying.
It's like exposure therapy for guilt.
It is 100% exposure therapy. You are exposing yourself to the feeling you've been running from your whole life, and you're discovering that it is toothless. It's just a sensation. It's just a temporary chemical reaction in your body. It has no actual power over you.
Yeah, it's if I pick up the phone.
You reinforce the entire toxic cycle. You teach your brain the only way to relieve this terrible feeling is to obey. The only path to safety is submission. But if you don't pick up, you begin to rewire your brain. You carve a new neural pathway that says, I can survive this discomfort. I am in control.
Okay, but what about the fallout? Because there will be fallout. She's going to leave a passive-aggressive voicemail. She's going to be cold the next time I talk to her.
Yes, she will. And because you have done the iJob, you will be ready for it. You won't be caught off guard.
So when I call her back on Sunday, our scheduled day, and she says, well, I tried to call you on Wednesday, I could have been lying dead on the floor. What do I say?
You stay in your calm adult self. You do not get defensive. You do not apologize for something you didn't do wrong.
So I don't say, I'm sorry, I was busy.
No. You don't take the bait. You simply say, with warmth, I know you called, Mom. I wasn't available on Wednesday, but I'm so happy to be talking to you now. How's your week been?
You just don't engage with the drama.
You stay on your side of the bridge. You are firm, you are warm, and you are unmovable.
Yeah.
And here's the part that feels like a miracle, but it's just behavioral science. If you do this consistently, not just once, but for weeks, for months, the dynamic begins to shift. She stops calling on Wednesdays because it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't get her the results she wants. She starts to value the Sunday and Tuesday calls more because she knows that's the real quality time she gets with you. You are, slowly but surely, teaching her how to have a healthier relationship with you.
But you have to be willing to be seen as the bad guy for a little while.
Mm.
You have to be willing to be misunderstood, maybe even resented during that transition period.
That is the price of admission for self-respect.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to let other people be disappointed in you.
That's a heavy one.
It's everything. If your core need is for everyone in your life to agree at all times that you are a good person, then you will never be free. You will always be a slave to their ever-changing opinions.
Yeah.
True freedom is the ability to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I know my intentions are good. I know I'm operating for my values. I don't need Gary or Mom to sign off on my certificate of goodness.
That's the real heavy lifting. That's the emotional gym you're talking about.
And just like a physical gym, it's supposed to hurt a little. If your muscles don't burn, you're not getting stronger. If setting a boundary feels easy and comfortable, you're probably not setting a real boundary. You're probably just making a suggestion or negotiating. Real change feels like fire at first, but that fire is what burns away the dependency.
There's a really important warning note in the research, too, about what happens if we don't do this work. It's about a concept called displacement.
Yes, this is crucial.
I think this might be the most compelling reason to do all this hard work, because we trick ourselves into thinking we're the only ones who get hurt by being doormats. We think, oh, it's fine, I can take it. I'll just suffer through Gary's late-night emails to keep the peace. But we don't just absorb the suffering, do we?
No, we never absorb it. We transmit it.
What does that look like?
So you've let Gary abuse your time and disrespect your boundaries all day long. You've swallowed all that anger and resentment because you're too scared to set a boundary with him. Then you go home, you walk through the front door, and your kid, who's 8, has left their backpack in the middle of a hallway. What happens next?
You explode. Why is this always on the floor? Can't anybody in this house clean up after themselves?
Exactly. You are vomiting all of the rage and powerlessness you felt toward Gary onto your child. That is displacement. It's the old kicking the dog phenomenon. By refusing to do the hard eye job with the person who holds power over you, your boss, your mother, you inevitably end up abusing the people over whom you have power, your kids, your spouse, your employees.
It's a cycle of violence, really.
It's the cycle of emotional violence. And doing the eye job is what breaks that cycle. It protects your family from your own unresolved resentments.
Wow. When you frame it like that, it's not selfish to set a boundary with my boss. It's actually an act of profound love for my family. Because if I don't, they're the ones who get the radioactive waste. They get the toxic leftovers of my day.
Yeah, precisely. You are protecting your best self, your calm, regulated, present self for the people in your life who actually deserve it, not wasting it all on the people who don't.
Okay. This has been incredibly intense. I feel like I need to go lie down in a dark room for a while.
It's a lot to take in.
But let's try to land this plane with something really actionable for everyone listening. We've covered a ton of ground. The fridge magnet, the chain, the x-ray, displacement, the do not disturb challenge. If someone is listening to this and they're feeling completely overwhelmed, where do they possibly start? What's the Monday morning version of all this?
That's the right question. Don't try to fix your entire life at once. Don't go quit your job and block your mother's number on the same day.
Right.
Pick one relationship, just one. The one that, when you think about it, makes your stomach clench just a little bit. Maybe it's a coworker who always gumps their work on you. Maybe it's a sibling who makes passive-aggressive comments. Just pick one target.
Okay, got my target. Now what?
Now you run the protocol, but in a microdose. First, check your value. Ask yourself, who do I want to be in this relationship? Not who I've been, but who I want to be. A respected colleague, an equal adult.
Okay.
Second, set one small, clear, directive boundary, not a huge one. Something like, I will not answer non-urgent texts from this person after 8 p.m. Or, I will no longer engage in conversations about politics with my Uncle Bob at family dinner.
And third?
Third, and most importantly, expect the guilt. When you hold that tiny new line for the first time, your old programming is going to scream at you. You will feel bad. You will feel selfish. And in that moment, I want you to say to yourself, this feeling, this burn, this is just weakness leaving the body.
The burn is just weakness leaving the body. I am absolutely stealing that. That is fantastic.
It's all yours.
And I'll add one thing from my side, if that's okay.
Please.
Stop rehearsing the script. Stop spending hours in the shower trying to find the magic sequence of words that will finally make Uncle Bob see the light.
He's not going to.
He's never going to. So stop focusing on the we job of trying to change him. Focus entirely on the I job of controlling your own behavior. Focus on keeping your own 2 feet planted firmly on your side of the bridge. It's the only job you actually have the power to do. The we job is a complete myth until The I is solid.
Beautifully said. You have to build the self before you can build the bridge.
This was incredibly confronting, but so necessary. Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to do the work.
And for everyone listening, good luck with the guilt.
Mhm.
Seriously, we are right there with you in the fire. I want to leave you with one final thought, a question that just kept circling in my mind as we went through all of this.
If you finally do it, if you do all this hard work and you set that boundary and you finally start showing up as your real, authentic self and the other person leaves, if they stop calling, if they stop loving you, you have to ask yourself a really hard question. Were they ever in a relationship with you? Or were they just in a relationship with your submission? Because if they only loved you for your silence, they never actually loved you at all. Think about that. We'll see you in the next deep dive.